Hi, Sudan. Welcome to BizTalk. That's my great pleasure you today with me. How are you?
Very well. Thanks for having me, Max.
It's my pleasure is mine. So let's start talking about yourself, a bit of your background.
Yeah, absolutely. So I started my entrepreneurial journey very, very young. I was probably 3 years old when I was blocking my parents' stairs in the house and charging them 2p to get past me on the stairs. So it's kind of always in my blood. And I then had my first kind of eBay business when I was 16. So it's kind of always been in me. And when I was working at Barclays Bank, I was getting ill 3 or 4 times a winter. And my kind of proactive, curious mind said, well, why is this? Why do I keep getting sick? And what can I do to proactively stop it happening? Because ultimately, I wanted to live my life free of illness. And so I started biohacking, self experimenting for a few years, researching all about the immune system and the science and talking to doctors and nutritionists and immunologists. And then found that there was this massive body of science showing how effective and how quickly you can get rid of a cold or a flu with the right natural fuel and solutions and vitamins for your body. So discovered this amazing solution and then spent several years building the business in the background while working a corporate career to get to a place where we launched in October 2019.
Oh, that's great. I mean, being an entrepreneur at 3 years old, that's remarkable. Charging your parents even more remarkable.
It worked. Hey, I got good pocket money. I was happy.
That's great. I mean, I was on the beach a month ago, and a very young lady came to me. I mean, it's a child, 3 years old. It told me, "Can you buy?" I bought €3 of bracelets. She was so happy. I
Amazing.
think no more than 3 years old. Yeah, it was
Brilliant.
wow. Yeah, 3, 4. It was wow.
Yeah,
Anyway, that's a good sign. Thank you. I mean, let's talk about your business.
sure. So I will give you a quick introduction to the business and our mission and show you some of our slides along the way because we are on a mission to stop people being slowed down by unnecessary illness. Frankly, because life is amazing and missing out sucks. And what that means for Tonic is, the current solutions on the market, the OTC pharma drugs, they block our biochemistry to reduce a symptom and provide relief in the short term. Whereas Tonic works in a fundamentally different way, restoring our biochemistry to ultimately boost health. And when you see the science, it's radically reshaping around how powerful natural solutions can be. And whether you look at COVID, cold or flu, or inflammation, these natural substances can be far more effective than some of the OTC drugs that are on the market. Um, and the reason for that is the way they work. And when they were designed in the 60s and 70s, they were focused on the wrong outcomes. So the drug-based products focus on, for example, the reducing your temperature slightly. But now we know reducing your temperature actually prolongs the duration of your illness because that temperature increase has a function that stops the virus from replicating at a quick rate and allows your immune cells to function more optimally. And then the vitamins in the market currently often have more sugar in them than they do vitamin, which often is a net negative effect because sugar is an immunosuppressant. So, what Tonic does is create highly effective all in one solutions that help recovery from common illness using the highest dose, most effective vitamins on the market, combined with natural plants and no junk to fuel immune cell function and reduce viral replication. And if you look at the market, pre-pandemic, we had 120 million lost work days in the US to colds. Then in the pandemic, we've had astronomical costs to the globe. And as a result, post pandemic, we're seeing this cold and flu category growing 6.6% on a compound annual basis for the next 5 years, because really, as we get more sedentary, as we live our life indoors, our body's immune system actually gets weaker and weaker because you need to be in the sun and in our natural environment to almost train your immune system and then get the right nutrients you need. So much so that Euromonitor is actually forecasting natural supplements will overtake OTC drugs by 2025. And we want to be a real change agent in that statistic. And we've built out our range across cover and care. So a lot of our consumers love what we stand for as a product, but they're very planned and prepared, and they want a product that will protect them throughout the winter. So they come to us for our daily immunity and our cover products, which is essentially like nutritional health insurance on subscription. And they can also get blood testing from us and actually understand their biomarkers so that we really build that diagnostic and health relationship with the consumer. And then in the care space, it's like the medicine, but you take it when you're ill, but it speeds up recovery without the unwanted side effects. And then across the two, we bolt on unique tech aftercare services where you can text our nutritionist 24/7, and we'll get back to you and try and answer your health questions and queries. Our plan for the business is to scale rapidly and move out of cold and flu and immunity into our next category of hay fever next summer and inflammation, and then into further kind of OTC drug categories, which have big spend and similar problems in the way that the OTC drugs actually work and cause issues and side effects rather than fixing the root cause. And our business model has evolved to a very kind of organic first approach where we create engaging content around common illness triggers with our podcast, our diagnostics tools, our newsletters, all in aid of building trust and educating the consumer and bringing them into our estate. And then we maximize physical and mental availability by being multi-channel, so in retail, pharmacy, and direct to consumer. And then we build on a lot of retention services around the text our nutritionist, referrals and cross sells that drive a really high retention in the business rate of 57%. And our unique formula is simple. We take these common illness triggers, which are a little bit ignored. There's been no innovation in these categories for 50 years. We then apply the latest science with our high dose effective solutions, which are high dose vitamins, plants, no junk and no sugar. We then clinically study the effectiveness of our product, where in our preliminary results of our clinical trial that's still ongoing, we're 6 times more effective at correcting vitamin D levels in our consumers. And then we bolt that on with this aftercare tech where we really try and build a strong relationship with our consumer by having an open dialogue with them and helping build a tribe and a community and a real connection. The team that we've got in the business is really powerful. What we've tried to do is build a strong board of advisory investors that can help us scale. So the likes of And Rising, who are the leading scale-up agency for Sweaty Betty and Duolingo, they're an investor, and we have a 5-year contract with them for them to do all our branding and comms work, because ultimately this is a consumer play and we need to own the kind of hearts and minds of our consumer. And we also have the likes of Diego Bevilacqua, who was the president of Unilever for 6 years, so knows retail as a business inside out. And then the rest of our team is strong and capable at delivering startups, and they're all into their sort of second and third startup. Then from a retail perspective, in the UK, we've managed to deliver almost $500,000 of sales in just 18 months. And by the end of 2021, we'll be close to $1 million annual recurring revenue. And the reason for this is we've built really strong distribution in every major channel vertical across pharmacy, grocery, wellness, and travel, with all our retailers kind of building out our range as we go. So Boots have just doubled our distribution. Sainsbury's are taking a new line in over 300 stores. And we've also worked to get into a profitable cost per acquisition model in D2C, with our cost per acquisition hovering at around £30 and 27p at the moment. And then what we're really excited about is, since we launched, we've gone into all this distribution and managed to match the rate of sale of the leading incumbents on the shelf. So we outperformed Sambucol and we matched Emergency in their rates of sale, despite these brands being, 20, 30-year-old incumbents. And that's on a weighted distribution basis. We've also done a blind taste test in the US where over 3 times more people preferred the taste of tonic. And we believe we're building our business in the right way by clinically proving our results, delivering the most effective, highest dose formula in the market, and doing it in the right natural way. And the reason for our positioning and launch that's coming up in the US this month is because if you look at what we've done so far in the UK, and then you applied the revenue per capita multiplier in the US and the number of additional shoppers in the category in the US, we'd have achieved over 14 million in sales equivalent in the US in what we've achieved so far. There's just a much higher propensity to shop in this category. And in the US, you've got a 500 million annual growth rate for this market. So huge opportunity to come in, disrupt, and capture a part of a growing market. And our US launch is in track and in process. We've been working on it since April. We have a retail partner there that's helping our retail conversations, and they took Happy Egg from the UK to the US and built it up to 100 million of sales. We've already almost got 3,000 consumers in our newsletter database that are based in the US. We're registered on Amazon.com and in the process of setting up on Walmart.com. So then from October, our D2C launch in the US will be rolling out fully before targeting a retail launch in the US in 2022. And then we are pitching for a $2 million total round at the moment at $7.8 million valuation to help fund further R&D into our tech services, build out a bit of our inventory as we scale, and invest in growth and marketing as we launch in the US. And this market is very ripe for acquisition, with Zabi's Naturals, Ollie's, Liquid IV, all in the last couple of years having 200 million plus exits because the incumbents struggle to ultimately innovate in this marketplace. So join our mission to stop lives being slowed down by unnecessary illness.
Thank you, Sina. Very exciting. I'm a big fan of this. I mean, this different way to take care of our health, right? Which is not using chemicals and all products that more than curing, maybe they do the opposite. On the long run, I'm pretty sure. And I mean, your business is based, as I can see, on technology, which means you have a way to treat the health of the people, helping your company build product based on technology, okay? So now, because we are different each other, okay? So how exactly one product can work on my body, but maybe it's not working perfectly 100% on someone else's body? And this is the problem that, for me, all products have been encountering, okay? Because maybe it works very well on me, but my genes are different from anyone else. And so how in somehow you can offset this problem?
It's a very good question, and one we've thought a lot about, because you're absolutely right. There are supplement companies out there claiming to, have a billion different variations of their supplement based on your personal need, right? But usually how they get to that result is they just ask you a questionnaire. So it's not really that accurate. So how we look at it as well is actually when we're facing a common illness, a virus, an infection, hay fever, whatever it may be, we know what the immune system needs, and that is consistent across people because the vitamins and minerals are like the fuel for your immune cells. So the way we look at it and the way we operate is say, you're absolutely right. If you're healthy today, there is a different starting point. You might be deficient in certain minerals, you might have more inflammation in the body. So we then offer the biomarker testing, which is, a at-home finger prick blood test. So we can find out where you are and then work out what you need. But actually at that point of sickness, it's pretty much all consistent. We need to actually flood the system with these vitamins and minerals with high doses so that your immune system has all the fuel it needs to battle the virus and kick it out quickly. So it's kind of twofold. Yes, you need personalization. When you're healthy, we need to understand where you are. But when you're ill, it's fully common, and there's commonality amongst everyone.
Thank you. I mean, you have been building your network, me having your newsletter and teaching and educating how to take care of yourself. For me, it's much more important take care of me when I'm healthy than when I'm not healthy, right? Because after it's going to be very complicated. Actually, anytime you need to, in somehow, take care of yourself and cure illness, something you maybe you cure your illness, but you're damaging something else. There is nothing to do. So how do you find the way to educate your customers, your clients?
Well, absolutely. So, I mean, in terms of the prevention versus the cure, you're absolutely right. It is always better to prevent it in the first place because, there is no 100% cure for the common cold. But what we can do is we can speed up your recovery by about 40%. So it's not perfect. So we try and educate consumers. So one of our campaigns right now that goes across our podcast, our newsletter, our socials, we try and engage them in great ways, is actually saying, hey, look, winter's coming. Nature in the habitat is prepping. The squirrels collect their nuts. The bears, start fattening up for winter. And actually humans should start preparing their immune system for the viruses that are about to come and top up those vitamin D levels and make sure their biomarkers are in the right space to take on winter. So we're trying to do it in kind of fun and ways that people can understand and connect with really simply at the same time as being kind of educational. Because if you go too sciencey, people don't understand it ultimately and, get lost in the science. So that's kind of how we've been trying to help change people's behaviors.
Talk their language, which is the most
Exactly.
important thing to do. It's very difficult. We need to be very easy. Sometimes communicating something complicated in easy way is not that easy at all. How do you compete with your competitors? I mean, you need to compete with companies already there for a while. Probably they will be less effective, but how you communicate this competitive advantage you have?
So for me, it's all about authenticity and trying to help people beyond just selling them a product. These big FMCG companies or OTC drug companies that have been on the market for 40, 50 years, they really aren't interested in the individual. They're selling a product which in the side effects says it reduces your white blood cell count. And it's like, if you're fighting an infection, you do not want to be doing that, but they don't really mind. They're selling a load and making a lot of money. Whereas how we approach it is really with an authentic, perspective of just wanting to help people. We share stories of our customers. We try and engage with people in a transparent way and an authentic way that they can buy into, and then have a real dialogue with us, like I mentioned in the pitch, to say, you can text us if you've got a question about your immune system, your nutrition, whatever it is, text us. We're here to help. We've got an in-house nutritionist. We have an in-house doctor. Like, we can actually help you and we can advise you on how to get healthy. Or if you're someone like I was back in Barclays, getting sick 3 or 4 times a winter, instead of spending 4 years doing your own research and building a company about it, you can just text us and we'll tell you the answer and we'll fix it. And that's the difference.
Yeah, I mean, it was my next question. What about your post-selling service? And exactly how do you help people? Because as you say, you are more focused on customers than, of course, you're focused on your product and profits. But as you said before, a big company, they just care about selling. And on average, in between millions, maybe 80-70% will be fine. So it's okay, it's done. The job is completely done. So how do you exactly manage the post-selling? Because in terms of business, I think it's quite costly.
It is, but several talented entrepreneurs have always said to me, do things that don't scale, because they are the things that will create connections and trust and authenticity with your consumer. So you're absolutely right. If we had 1 million customers texting us tomorrow, we'd have a really big problem to figure out how we answered all these queries. But if we had 1 million customers, we'd also be a lot bigger business and we could scale the team. So yes, it's tough at the moment. You know, I get text messages from customers on a Sunday night, and I'll reply to them myself. So it's difficult, but you know, we're trying our best, and we're all, you know, excited by hearing our customer stories of what's happening to them, how we can help, and you know, we can really help them on their journey. We've had customers who, you know, text us saying, "Oh, I need to pause my subscription because I've been given some antibiotics," and we're like, okay, but why would you stop taking your vitamins when you've got an infection you're trying to deal with? You actually need to take vitamins while you're on antibiotics because it will help rebuild your immune system and help keep it doing its job while you've got the antibiotics there as well. And so we're genuinely like helping and changing people's lives in how they approach wellness.
All right, I mean, I do agree. I absolutely agree. How do you how do you scale your business, and are you ready for the US, which is a very different market from UK?
Absolutely. So, from a US perspective, we built the business originally to launch in the US, but we decided to start in the UK as almost a cost-effective test market where we could get the business out there, understand our consumers, kind of test everything and optimize it ready for the US. So we know from a product perspective, we are, you know, hands down the most effective product on the US market. We've benchmarked across everyone. And then from a scaling perspective, you know, it is about reach for us. And, you know, in the UK, you can see we've built brilliant distribution across major retailers. But we need to now go and do that in the US to access that bigger market, which will, you know, significantly scale the business and take us to the next level.
I mean, in terms of product and production, how does it work?
So we produce the product with co-manufacturers, but before that, we, you know, have a consultation process with our doctor, with our nutritionist. We discuss the science and the formulations as to what is the most optimal, and then, you know, we develop that recipe with our co-manufacturer, who then produces the product and ships it to us. Before then, you know, we take control of it and sell it on to the retailers.
You're raising 2 million. Can you remind me the post-money valuation or the pre-money?
So pre-money, we're looking at $7.8 million valuation.
Okay. And this current round is, do you have any commitment for now?
So we actually just started raising in mid-August, so we're still early days, but we've got around 100K committed at this point in time, and some conversations ongoing with some big VCs and a couple of angel syndicates as well. So we're hoping it will accelerate quite quickly now. Everyone's back from their summer holidays.
Yeah, sure. September can be a good month. So moving to US market, probably you need also to get on board some US investors. They will help you for sure.
That's one of our big focuses as well.
I mean, I think we've been covering almost everything. Let me close with, do you have any message to investors to really believe they can invest in a company?
That's a good question. I mean, what I would say is, you know, ultimately you're investing in someone you believe in, can find a way to disrupt and you know, innovate and grow in the market, because there will always be challenges along the way, but you need someone who's committed with the right passion and energy and drive to make it happen. And you know, I'm the kind of guy who had this problem at Barclays Bank, had no idea about this industry, had no nutritional or medical training, and spent years getting to the point where I had the right knowledge and the right team around me to launch this business. And that, you know, ventured to, I even did 18 months in a baby food startup because I wanted to learn how the retailers worked. And I took their products into every major supermarket in the UK. But that really was as a way for me to learn how to then replicate that for my own business. So any challenge or obstacle that gets in the way of Tonic, we'll find a way to overcome it, and we'll scale this business, because ultimately I have the passion and the belief that there's a fundamental market injustice with the way these OTC drugs are basically giving people the opposite of what they actually need to heal.
Thank you, Suna. Thank you very much for coming to BizTalk. It's been a very great pleasure to be talking to you. I'm very keen to this topic, so I really enjoyed it.
Thank
Thank you
you,
very much.
Max. It was great to
Thank
be on the
you.
show.